Hello and happy Tuesday, everybody. Good evening. It should be evening for most of you, probably morning for some of you at this point in time, because we're coming on a little later than usual. We're just sort of wrapping up the old state of the game that Major Sammo just hosted with Rev Deuce, Obsidian Hamster, and Mr. Tiger, kind of doing a little uh, post arc analysis, if you'll call it that, of the Mirror Universe arc, and didn't not getting very good feedback, and just thinking about what might be changed from there going forward. It was a long content stream, hour and a half of Tiger ducked out after about an hour. Just sort of pulled the old Irish exit and just pieced out without saying goodbye to anybody. Um, and then Hammy sort of carried on and tried to just take some notes and things that he could take back and circle back to later. But I don't feel like it resolved a whole lot. Like they talked for an hour, hour and a half, and they talked about, okay, we realized we need to make some adjustments to some stuff, but didn't feel like we got a lot of specifics about what is necessarily going to be adjusted, how things are going to get better as we move forward. It was like, well, we've got a lot of good ideas and we're going to put some of them into effect, but as usual, you're just going to have to wait and see. And that's the part that always kills me, right? Because how do you build any hype? How do you build any momentum to make people excited about your content when you just keep this death clutch on all the information? Get it out there. Get it out there a week ahead of time, 2 weeks ahead of time, instead of 10 minutes before it starts. Hey, here you go. I don't know. I don't know why they feel like they have to do that when every other game is putting out like trailers and things like that and big press releases and things for all their new content, days or weeks in advance. And, we're over here going, oh, thank God we get the patch notes at midnight now, right? We can see what's coming while the servers are offline being updated. Like, woohoo, yay, we win. We got a whole 12 hours. So, what's going on, Barkman, Nuge, Lloydson, Lord Hollywood, Deathkill? Thank you for renewing your subscription with Twitch Prime. And everybody else who might be lurking in the chat right now. What did you guys think about that? What was your big takeaway after listening to an hour plus of Tiger and Hamster, mostly Tiger, talking about the arc and the loops and the currencies and what adjustments they hope to make. So they listened and updated stuff. I'm not sure what they did, but they did say they changed things. Um, yeah, well, I mean, they listened. They put out the Syndicate event, which we all hated because it was 4 times the cost of all the previous Syndicate events, and but they slapped a quantum tag on it, so that was supposed to make it different than the regular Syndicate events, and then they quickly backpedaled and stopped running that and went back to the normal uh, events and gave out a whole bunch of extra Syndicate XP. Still haven't done quite a good. Tonight was probably the first thing where we heard that they're making a distinction between quantum and heroic, which is something that was kind of a missed opportunity and a bit of a communication error, not putting that information out there ahead of time. So at least they did acknowledge that they came up short on that one, and hopefully we'll see something actually on the website or through an announcement that quantum is not replacing heroic; it's in addition to heroic, and it's just a more spender friendly version. Yeah, spender requirement than regular heroic. Like a regular heroic event, you can usually get at least one milestone done, maybe two, depending on the event, without having to spend money. Or maybe you've got a little bit left over. Maybe throw in a couple multi-phasics or whatever. You get enough in a heroic event. Sometimes quantum is definitely not possible free to play. So at least was not this month. So hopefully they will be doing a better job sort of cleaning up the distinction between those two things. So in a perfect world, we would implement that. Yeah, I mean, I know obviously it's hard to program some stuff, and they're dealing with the limitations of the original framework that they have this game built on, which again, I don't think this game was meant to last this long. They only had at the very beginning, they had a very limited window in terms of um, what content. They only had the Kelvin movies, right? The J.J. Abrams movies was all they had licensing to, really, um, for characters and things like that, with a few limited exceptions. So if they didn't reach a deal to expand on that, like, this game would have been out of content after like 2 years. And the fact that they've continued to just add on and add on and add on, I don't think the original framework this game was built on was meant to support 68 months of expansions. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not a programmer. I'm not a coder. I don't know these things. Somebody like Ripper could probably answer that question a hell of a lot better. But that's kind of what it seems like, and that's kind of what it seems like sometimes they paint themselves into a bit of a corner where they are, yeah, we would love to do that, but we can't. Our system, our platform, or whatever just won't support it. And we're not going to tear the whole thing down and start all over. Like, that would just be a new game at this point. So, dude, you don't even pay attention to Syndicate events unless you have the Battle Pass saved for it. Well, even then, you weren't even getting close to it. Even if you had the Battle Pass saved, the territory, the wave defense, if you had all of those saved, you still were not even getting close to the first milestone. The first milestone was like 560,000 points. I think, or 546. I'm sorry, 546,000 points was milestone one in that Quantum Syndicate event, and you were not getting anywhere near that without buying packs, unless you had, you know, 2 year, a couple $100 or $1,000 worth of multiphasics saved up that you just were sitting on, and you were going to spend all those. Maybe you'd have gotten to the first milestone, but that Quantum Syndicate event was god awful. So Hollywood is hoping and praying for a subject about the uncommon Armada pack. It doesn't give enough rares. Buying Armada directives um, is not a very. It's profitable for them. It's not a very user-friendly option for the players. Um, that's not a good method of sourcing for directives. They want Armadas to be exclusive. They want Armadas to be limited, to be restricted. They have since day one. That's why things like the Zindi are so god awful in terms of getting them, because they want that content. Because they feel like the value you get out of those turn-in chests is significant. So they want to keep that access limited and restricted. And if you're going to buy packs to get extra directives, well, then they know that you're willing to spend on that kind of stuff, and they can get you to spend more. They've always kept those pretty much under lock and key at $100 price point most of the time, and very limited in terms of the rares and epics that you're getting out of them. So they changed the event store, yeah, because I made the joke earlier that it was the format of the event store. That's why people have stopped spending the last 6 months. It just got too confusing. We couldn't find the things we wanted to buy, so we just stopped buying stuff, right? The web store rather. But yeah, they got that revised now. Now we have a whole new format. Which, in case you didn't see it, here's your whole new format. Now you have these little bundles on here, and if you go to the website, it looks the same, where you have these little tabs now. So these are like your new items, where you can see your specialty items that have much, very short timers on them. Things been going on for your flash pass, or things that might have just popped up, like additional primes. for some of that stuff. You also have some of your limited time offers, like if you wanted to spend $50 to get a swarm hunting crew. God only knows why you'd want to buy that, but for the next 5 days, you can buy it for 50 bucks. And then we have some of these other packs here. Syndicate Elite Pack, 297 days. Well, would you look at that? I'm glad that's limited. You only have until next spring to buy this pack if you wanted it. What's up, Cookie? What's up, Nevin? What's up, Joe? Welcome on in. And then you've got all your Prime researches all tucked away nice and neat in here. Well, it said there were 86 of them, but I don't think that folder's accurate anymore because there's only one in there now. You've got your weekly offers. These are things that are going to be probably more related to active content. So we're doing Mega Cube, Borg, Cube stuff right now. So here's all of your specific war funds and expansion cube directives and stuff like that. Like even the expansion cube directive packs. You're only getting a couple out of this for $100. You get other resources too, which is supposed to help sort of justify the cost. But even if you wanted, is there even one for just as expansion cubes and officers? I don't even see one for Borg solos, so maybe they're in one of the other bundles. And then you've got some of these other options here. Graphics, you're confused about the view button on the packs. Isn't the function the exact same as clicking the pack like before? There's a slight difference, and I believe this is for mobile users. Because before, like if you clicked on the pack, like if I just clicked on this $99.99 button here, and I had my settings set up a certain way on my mobile device, it would just auto purchase it without any type of like warning or verification. So I feel like this it may just be a simple an aesthetic choice, but to me it also thinks that may help avoid some of those accidental purchases for players. Maybe they were getting a lot of customer service tickets going, I hit the wrong button, I didn't mean to buy that, can you please refund it? So maybe this kind of delineates that a little bit better. So now you've got, you can obviously click up here anywhere in the picture, and that brings you to the same menu as the view. But I guess, or to cut down on clicks may also be a thing too, because otherwise you would click here, then you would see what was in the pack, and then you'd go down here to the bottom and you'd hit the $99.99. So maybe I had that backwards. Maybe it's an express button is what it is. They just added a feature so you don't even have to, I know I want the Ultra Explorer pack. I'm just going to just click this once and just buy a bunch of them. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's it. It's an express line. So I think I actually had that backwards now that I'm thinking about it a little more. So, although it could be either way. Could be either way. What's up, Stewie? Can you imagine how high the heroic SMS targets will have increased by the time? Yeah. Oh, I'm sure that pack won't be good anymore by then. Got it, Apes. Thank you very much for the follow. Welcome on in. So you got your station upgrade packs, including your war room, if you want to get some upgrades to your war room, because that event just started again, as well as all of your other specialty buildings. And aloha, Dr. Iron Chef. Good, well, it's afternoon for you still, I think, so good afternoon. Thank you for the 100 bits. So, yeah, I'm just curious to hear, obviously your guys' thoughts and feedbacks, and Cookie, the prices are always going to be $100. That's their price model. They don't want the microtransactions. They've made that clear since day one. That's not going to change. You might get a couple more, $50 packs in here and there, but for the most part, the $20 packs are so meh compared to the $40, the $50 or $100 values. Even if even if they made them, they wouldn't be worth buying because they're just so bad in terms of what you get. Like if we look at this one here, what do you get? 1,500 shipyard directives in the $20 pack. And if you go look at the $50 pack, all right, so that is about, actually that's not even about right, because that should actually be higher if it was 2.5 times. It's 2.5 times the cost. It's not 2.5 times the payout because we said 1,500. Where's my Shipyard Solo Elite pack? There isn't one? All right. Well, I guess not. No, you're welcome. No worries. Obviously, it's been a pain point for 5 years. People have complained about why is everything 99.99. Can I have something that's $20 or $50? And it's very rare we get something. Do you know how ecstatic everybody was when the Ferengi Whip came out and it was only $50? Because that was something everybody thought was going to be $100. It's like, oh my God, thank you. It's only $50. I can actually buy this. Um, I didn't buy it just on general principle, but I know a lot of people were very excited about that fact, especially when you consider and you compare it to a lot of the other forbidden, all of the other forbidden techs are $100 packs. They're all $100, except well, all the other epics rather are $100 a piece. But the Ferengi Whip, which seemed like it would have been a prime example of something they're going to sell for $100 because of the quality of life improvement it was, the fact that it was only 50 and was in line with the other rares, they're all $50, so it wasn't like it was, breaking the curb here. They just kept it consistent and didn't jack up the price because of the gameplay value to it. Now, some people would argue this should be free by now, and I would agree that there should be a free-to-play path to source this by now. It's been long enough. Let's get a move on that, putting that in somewhere. Iron Chef says they incentivize the higher spend. Absolutely. Absolutely. They don't want the Candy Crush model or the other app game model where you're spending, the Monopoly Go model, even Monopoly Go, actually, I can't even say that. Because while, yes, they do have things for 99 cents or $1.99, whatever the case is, they have $99 packs in Monopoly Go as well. When DJ was doing a sponsored stream a month ago, 2 months ago, was it, I guess now? Just watching him play that game for a minute, and then he went into the store to look around, and I'm like, oh, it's the exact same Scopely pricing model. They made a few smaller ticket items to make it a little more friendly for the masses, but you could definitely tell, like, hey, they've got their 99.99 packs in here, and they're trying to, uh, continue to generate revenue the same way that they have from Marvel Strike Force and Star Trek Fleet Command and some of the other games that they've made over the years. So that's just company policy. We are not your average everyday fly by night gaming company that's just going to make a quick cheap app and try and make some cash. We have these big IPs that we're paying these royalties on, and it's not worth it to us to sell things that cheap when we have to pay out a commission to, Google and Apple for people making purchases through the apps, and then we have to pay a royalty or licensing fee to, you know, Paramount who owns Star Trek, or Disney who owns Marvel, or um, Parker Brothers or whoever owns Monopoly these days, right? So that's why their price points are probably where they are. And then obviously we've got Fleet Commanders here, the last tab here. Nothing for sale. Maybe other Fleet Commanders might be for sale in here, but I can't see them because I probably already have Locutus and 7 of 9, but I'm sure the rest of them are in there. So it's certainly easier to find what you're looking for, but I don't know that I would call that a win for a lot of people. I think there's plenty of people who don't even click on this thing, even if they're just curious about, let's see what they're charging for stuff. Like, I don't even know that thought enters a lot of people's mind. So, God of Apes, you stopped playing because it's too much pay to win, but you still like to watch? Okay, I can understand that. There's obviously more than a few people who have felt like, you know, this is one of the most expensive games I've ever seen. Um, it reminds me of when I was a kid and I was in the gaming shops and everybody was playing, I think Warhammer was the big miniature game at the time. This is back late 90s, early 2000s. And obviously people playing with the miniatures, and they've got these big, huge maps, and it looked really cool and awesome. And I remember watching a guy lose in his match or whatever like that, and he was like, man, he's like, my army just can't compete. I really wish I had that guy's army over there so I could build something like that, because his looked really cool and awesome. But I don't want to go drop 2 grand buying a whole bunch of miniatures to build what he did. And as a kid, playing card games, we were talking about $2 a pack, $3 a pack for card games. Maybe you spend $100 on a box of cards and you get a whole lot of stuff to work with when a new expansion comes out. When this guy was talking about spending like $2,000 to build one army for one specific, tournament, that to me was kind of ridiculous and insane. But again, I'm a teenager at that point in time. My paper route wasn't covering that. I was like, stay away from that game. I'll stay on this side of the store. Stick over here with the comic books and the other cards, things like that. And a lot about Star Trek Fleet Command kind of feels like that experience. They're appealing to a higher clientele, right? That higher level uh, of gamer, of player, and they make no, you know, illusions about that. That's who their target audience is. That's why they have their own separate VIP server. That's why a lot of things are catered the way that they are in terms of events, and that's just what this game is. So we kind of steered a little off topic, went off a little bit on a tangent there. Let's circle back. I took some notes, at least on topics. So we got the big feature with the web store update. The other feature that we got this month was officer sorting got a little changed. So you got additional drop downs for how you wanted to sort officers when you're assigning them to ships, or when you're searching for them in here. You have different sorting options. Still missing some improvements on officer sourcing, but maybe that's coming soon too. Who knows? Maybe that's phase 2. Then they talked about, it went into the mirror universe. Obviously, this month's big feature. Talking about raising the caps on certain things, not the timer necessarily. Maybe they kind of like the 20-minute timer. Some people were asking for it to be, maybe a few extra minutes so you could do more things like mining, what might be a little more practical than farming. If it was 25 or maybe 30 minutes. The talked about obviously all the different currencies and the refinery options, and how some of those values may be changing going forward. We might have the ability to source a little bit more of the raw Trellium D to do additional refines. Maybe sourcing a little more of the liquid Trellium D so people can get more access to this stuff a little more regularly, to help speed up some of these researches and things, perhaps. But obviously, this was just month 1 of the arc. It sounded like it's going to be a 3-month arc only, but don't know that for sure. That was sort of my takeaway from that. There was definitely a bit of a debate on what's the better way to go in terms of mining materials versus killing hostiles. And because of, and I didn't take this into consideration, some of this new research, and let's go to stfc.space and let's look this up here, obviously is level ops capped. Didn't really think that, obviously there's always ops caps on things, but didn't necessarily think they would be as low as they are. This common mining one I do want to look at. Common survey Trellium mining. So you're starting off with a 2,000% increase for the first couple of levels. And you only have to be ops level 40 to do it. But by the time you get to want to go to level 4, where it goes from 6,000% to 12,000%, now it's requiring ops 51. So you only get the first 3 levels while you're still in your 40s, which at 6,000% and a 20-minute timer, that's not really making enough of an impact and making mining available to players in their 40s as a reliable option. You know, this 6,000% on a mining node versus even with, a high grade tier 4 miner with the right crew and things like that, you spend 3 or 4 minutes getting to some of those mining systems, and they did say that the ones further out do have um, higher mining rates, similar to what we see with like Latinum and things like that, right? So the further in you go into some of these systems, you may see better mining rates. I guess I don't have any of them unlocked, or there we go, there's one. Like, where's my, let's go look at my NX01. Where's my NX01? Let's take my NX01. So there's a handful of systems that do have the mining nodes in them. Um, Obviously this is your premium system. Ganalda, you can look them all up on stfc.space to find out which ones specifically are, but I've unlocked a couple of them, and here's Alaterra, which also has, this is Trellium A. Do I have one that has Trellium D? I don't think so, that I can peek into, but even if we just take a second, and let's go peek into Alaterra, right? I gotta take them out of dock first, hang on. Alright, so let's pop him out of dock for a second. Let's go look at Alaterra here. We'll take a quick peek in, because I got plenty of this currency to spend. So, this is a G4 miner that is got a reasonable mining crew on it. We're tier 8, oh, it's a tier 10 ship. I've got level 40 out of 50 on it. And I would mine this at 6,800 an hour based on me having a very low research. I think my research was only tier 1 or so. So without bumping this up significantly, this isn't an option. And even if I could, let's call him back into base for a second. Even if I could, get this research up to, another level or two, it's not still going to be very practical. So for players in their 40s, mining, not really an option for what to do in this kind of stuff. I've only got a 2,000 point bonus. Even if I pump this up, the other 2 levels, it is not going to be the way to do things. So if you're in the 40s, just forget about mining. It's not a concept. It's not a reasonable course of how to do things in here. Just a waste of your tokens, to be honest. So it's not until you hit 51, and now you can take this from tier 3 to tier 4. Now it doubles. You go from 6,000 to 12,000. Now you're looking at a little bit more here. And now you can take this all the way up to tier 6 at 51. And now you're going from level 50 being stuck at 6,000 to being at level 51 and be able to take this all the way up to 50,000. And when Tiger was talking about, how fast he mines in certain speeds, and, I get this, I get 60,000 every time I make a run, and Rev's like, I get 9. It's like, well, obviously you're not. Rev's ops 50. He's stuck here at this 6,000 plus mining percent bonus. Mr. Tiger is in his 50s. He's talking about he's about to unlock his Nova, so he's 52, 53, somewhere in that range. So he can take this research all the way up to level 6, and it's a 50,000% bonus. Huge difference, night and day, when you're talking about having mining as an acceptable option. And if they're not going to put in exocomps or other things to help change that, or additional research or whatever, this being the hard cap right here from 3 to 4, it takes that option off the table for players, and that's unfortunate, because that shouldn't be the way it is. That players in an entire level bracket are getting priced out of it. So, Stewie, thank you very much for renewing your subscription for 12 months. Thank you. Dark Lord Lando, you once you built your Selkie and got it up to tier 4, you only ever saw beneficial games. Even in the 50s with the 58 miners, I couldn't get the math. And it may still not be better in the 50s, but if you're talking about a 6,000% increase versus a 50,000% increase, going from 50 to 51, there's at least it might put it back on the table. I still don't know if it's enough. Obviously, if you can, especially when you get in your higher 50s, right? When you're in your higher 50s and you can get out to further systems and you've got, a Sanctus or a Dideradix or whatever, and you're going out to some of these, like you're gonna kill way more hostiles and get way more loot than you would still probably mining. Um, but at least you could feel like look, I'm gonna set a miner for 15 minutes and I'm gonna go make a sandwich, and when I come back, at least I'll have gotten something for my trouble. That might actually get me enough to be able to do a refinery run. Like that seemed at least a little practical. But in the 40s, it doesn't seem like an option right now. So that may be something where they're gonna make some adjustments to. Did they at least seemed receptive to that feedback that hey, maybe we are sort of blocking people out of a requirement where it just doesn't seem practical. Although he did seem a little oblivious, like oh, what are you doing wrong that you're only mining at 9,000 an hour? It's like he's only ops level 50. Like you put a gate. That's why there's a big difference between what you're seeing as a 51 or a 52 versus what he's seeing as a 50 because you put an ops restriction on the research. So maybe that'll get looked at again. So graphics would much rather see sliders added to everything instead of officer sorting. Sorting is not much of a quality of life item. No, it's a very minimal one, and certainly, there probably could be better things that they could use to do some sorting. People were talking about having specific abilities like a burning, like morale, so you can see officers who have those specific abilities, or officers who trigger on a specific ship, like an interceptor or a battleship, or officers who do things when fighting another player or when fighting an armada. So you can sort by just those categories, so you can kind of group them. And I feel like those are the bigger groups, right? Why wouldn't we have those options first? So, Kataya, thank you very much for the follow. Best solution would be an exocomp, and yet we brought that up, and they felt like that an exocomp couldn't work for that for some reason. That they couldn't do it for mining nodes in the MU. I don't know. He was talking about something, and I was like, this doesn't make any sense to me as to why we can do exocomps for mining in other areas, but not for mining in the MU. Not really sure what exactly the difference is there and why it works one way but not in the other way. So, Lloydson, you ran your Nova for 15 minutes and got 600. Totally worth it. I should have checked to see what my Nova would have gotten. I didn't. I didn't think of it. I was too busy running my mouth. So, yeah. So what else did we get? What were our other takeaways? Obviously, the further you get, the higher the mining rate goes. So if you can get further out in here, spending the extra, 2 minutes going from a level 40 to a 44 or to a 45 system or whatever, might make the extra difference in terms of what the mining rates are. I wonder if they are. Let's go to stfc.space and let's take a quick peek, because we can go to systems and I can go to mirrors and I can look at the ones with mining, and this will tell you what all the ones are. So if I look at Alaterra and I compare it to Belak, for example, a 44 versus a 48, that were both, nope, We're mining different stuff there. Alitaira's mining at a 44. Let's do Ganalda. That's a premium system. Camia. That's it, huh? Because those are D's. Should just do this. So we've got a 44 and 45s. So Alitaira, your mining rate is, your base rate is 9. Ganalda, the same thing. The base rate is 9. But if you get out to Camia, your rate is 19. Okay, so Alitaira to Camia. Let's go take a look at where the difference is there. Okay, so if you manage to get all the way out to Alitaira, which is where you can mine Trellium A, your mining rate is 9. But if you go 2 extra systems over here to Camia, or Kamaya, which is how it's probably pronounced because of the apostrophe there, your mining rate doubles. So spending the extra tokens to move these extra 2 systems might take an extra 45 seconds or an extra minute, minute and a half, depending on what crews you're using. Or if you're not using, the premium path through Ganalda to Alitaira to then to Arcus to Kamaya. If you're going from, say, Wolf to Deneb to Ordesia to Han to Urthak to Archis to Kamaya, and you're kind of going the long way, 5 or 6 systems because you don't have the premium tokens to use. Obviously, it's going to add on. You might have to use an impulse crew or something like that to make that trip a little faster for you, but you're going to mine at double the speed. So if you got 15 minutes here but only 10 minutes here, you're still coming out ahead because of the mining rate. Now, the Trellium D systems should follow the same principle. Mining raw Trellium D. So again, we've got the 47s like Unroth and Taiga Core and Kronos, where you're getting Trellium D, and then you've got some of the ones that are now Warp 175. Yeah, Trellium D, you're going from mining rate of 3 in the level 47 systems to a mining rate of 8 in the level 48 systems. Again, still a very low mining rate, and this may be something that they tweak up as the arc evolves, right? By the time the arc is over and they're like, okay, it's been 3 months, now we can go ahead and change these base rates. That could definitely be something that gets tweaked. But Trellium D it feels stingy, especially because it's a currency you can only use like every 3 days. It does feel a little stingy in terms of the sourcing for it, but I guess that's because it gives the better rewards, the better content. So that was another talking point and big takeaway from the state of the game here. What else did we talk about, or did they talk about tonight? PvP events within the MU, obviously, ranking those down, and whose fault was it for putting them in the game when we just had the whole issue with the war room having to be changed because it was screwing up all the other events, and we didn't want it running simultaneously, and people camping mission points and people camping new content. And then it's like, hey, here's the mirror universe, day 1, and here's some PvP events. It's like, well, you should have expected it, because when we told you there's no protected cargo, you should have expected PvP. And it was like, no, that's not a thing. No. Nice try, but no. Heroic versus Quantum was the other one that we talked about a little bit. That Heroic is not being replaced by Quantum. Quantum is going to continue to be its own type of event going forward, and will be the primary and for right now the only sourcing, other than buying it, for these premium mirror dust shards will be through quantum based events, which are either going to require, saving or very strategic spending in order to get some of that stuff. In some cases, it might actually be better to just buy the dust. I don't know what the payout if they're even selling the dust. Oh, thanks, Samo. Well, good job tonight. Yeah, I was on before you were finished wrapping up. I'm guessing you raided into DJ. No worries. He came on too, and he's going to go for much longer than I am. But good job tonight. Have fun with your guests. We'll chat. Do we have mirror dust? Premium mirror dust? Yeah. Oh no. Premium mirror dust special. Yes, we do have premium mirror dust for sale. 2,000 for $100. Might be more economical for some people than buying the stuff to participate in the events. You might end up coming out ahead if you just buy the dust and call it a day. So Timmy's wondering if Scopely looks at player engagement in each event. God, I hope so. We've heard them talking about it with content creators, so I'm guessing they look at that kind of stuff. I don't know for sure because they've never told me that's what they look at. I don't talk to them about that kind of stuff. I can only just cross my fingers and hope that they're looking at reports and seeing, hey, only 37% of players, hit the third milestone of the quantum event or higher or something like that. What does that tell us? Maybe the milestones were too high. We need to adjust them. Or maybe we need to make whatever pack this material is in have better stuff in it so we sell more of them next time. Like, that would be the basic fundamentals of how to be successful as a company. Would be looking at the events you're putting out, the packs you're selling, and looking at the engagement you're getting back. How many people are buying this? How many people play our game? What percentage are doing these kinds of things? What percentage of these people have never spent $1 and are never going to spend $1? Let's just take them out of the equation. Okay, these people over here are spending, but they didn't buy this. So why didn't they buy this compared to other stuff? Do we not make it a good value? Are we selling too much stuff at the same time that they, if they only have $100 or $200 a month to spend, they're spending it on something else because it's better value than this new thing? Like, those types of analytics should be happening in any successful business. But that's a whole different course. That's a whole different course. You got to get into Moneyball to figure that one out. So, what's up, Rev? Good job tonight. You and Samo had a pretty good balance there. Tiger kind of dipped out on you guys without. He did the old Irish exit. So, yeah. And again, it's a limited content. I mean, it's obviously some good research if you're wondering what those premium tokens do, a premium dust rather, and why you should actually care about sourcing any of that stuff. You've got this whole little wing of the mirror research tree where you've got some wonderful stuff. Damage to hostiles, shield health, and then out here is where people get really excited because you've got ship material and part efficiencies, station material efficiencies. Then you get into some G6 efficiency and Sigma stuff for the 61 plus players further down that line there. And then eventually you can also get into some of this isolytic barriers and things like that. And then there's even a Prime Syndicate XP. Uh-oh, what's this? Unlocks a daily Syndicate XP bundle in gifts that gives out more Syndicate XP. Starts at 1,000. and goes up to 10,000 a day you could potentially get if you have this max, an extra 10,000 Syndicate XP per day. And you think that they're not going to be expanding the Syndicate Ops levels anytime soon? I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to say October. I'm going to say we're going to get through this content. We're going to get through the MU, through the summer. We're going to get into October. They're going to be due for like another roadmap update or something, by the end of the year. Let's bring it home. And October or November, we're going to see an extension of the Syndicate tree. Just in time for the holidays. Buy some Syndicate XP. So, Tim, you think it'll be done earlier than that? I mean, maybe. Maybe it'll be sooner than that. I feel like it hasn't been too long since they did the last one. I know we're at 45 now. I feel like they need a little something extra to tack on. And maybe they'll just put, hey, we'll give you more premium mirror dust. And starting in Syndicate level 46, you get 10 mirror dust, premium dust a day or something like that. I know I don't want to put that out there, but I just did. So there'll be additional sourcing, and it'll be free to play sourcing. You just have to get the Syndicate level 46 to unlock it. Similar to how some of these forbidden techs and things like that they're free to play sourcing for some of this forbidden tech stuff. And getting Agmus, is that the one that's in here somewhere? Yeah, Agamus, free to play. You just got to get the Syndicate level 36, and you get this guy and some of the other fleet commander slots and other things that they've made a free to play path for. It's just going to take the free to play people a long time to get there. So, you guys think it'll be next month? I don't think it'll be quite that soon. I could be wrong. I could be wrong about this. But maybe we'll see it, I think, by the fall. Yeah, data sourcing was a big miss too. Throwing out there that excited about people getting more shards and unlocking Picard, and data was fine, and it was like data was pay only. No, data was not fine. Even if you did everything and bought everything, what did we get? 13? 13 out of 38. That's 1/3 of the officer unlock was all that you got free to play. Not even free to play. That's buying the battle pass. I think my free to play account, I think I got 6 or 7 data shards. I think maybe there was an extra 6 in the battle pass. But that was it. Like, that's not officer sourcing at all. I'm closer. I have 50% of Picard. I have 33% of data. Or 34%. We'll round up. I have the same problem with Pelia. I got 6 Pelia shards. Didn't buy the battle pass. That probably had about 6 or 7 more in the bottom half for her too. Hoshi was the same thing. She wasn't available, even unless you bought her, or you got her in this event store. Like several months now, we've had issues with the rare officer not being sourced. You got to go. I mean, T'Pol and Shran kind of were. I feel like we got them at the beginning of the year, but then we didn't get Hoshi in her month because she was the event store. And I'm sure some people might have come up short on these people and used the event store to unlock them. I just don't remember specifically. And then obviously Strange New Worlds, Pelia, and Chapel were kind of a thing where you really weren't getting them free to play, and now data is also another issue as well. And that's a drastic change from what we're used to, what we've seen previously. So, Lloydson, you got 7 data. Did you buy a battle pass this month? Because I'm pretty sure that's the only reason I have 13. Is because I didn't buy it. I won it. Just for the record, I did not spend any money. I won it though. Answering trivia questions. Shout out to Stewie. Well, actually, I think Lube did this one because there were typos and he got one of the answers wrong. So we're not going to blame Stewie for that. We're going to blame Lube for that one. But yeah, that's not good. And then obviously, what's the ongoing path for them going to be once the arc is over? Or you the same thing. You got 13 as well. Lloydson didn't buy. You're not spending a dollar. Didn't buy the battle pass. Yep. Yep. Exactly. Even if you did whale out on data, including the packs required to tier him up on top, he could only get to. Yeah, that's the other thing, right? That's the other thing about these new officers. If we go, do I still have it up? I don't. I closed it. Okay, hang on. So if we go back to stfc.space here, and we go look at our officers, and we go look at mirror data and mirror Picard, they require a new currency to upgrade. They require liquid Trellium D. They're not using independent credits. They're not using anything else that we have in the game already. They're using the same stuff you're using in the refinery here in your liquid Trellium D store to get things like your Rift keys or your mirror dust or your forbidden tech or holodeck advancement. This limited material up here, this purple liquid Trellium D, is the same stuff that you need if you want to tier these officers up. And looking at some of these numbers, like you get them from 1 to 2 for free without needing to do it. Okay, cool. But if you want to go to 3, it's 5,200. That's fairly sizable. And then 21,000, like even if you bought the shards, now you're going to have to buy liquid Trellium D as well because that's a lot. And this is the rare. Let's go look at the epic. Oh, that's all? Oh, that's all right there? That's all he takes? You don't even get the tier 2 for free. It's 4,400 to get the tier 2. If you want to max them out, you're talking about 97,000 liquid Trellium D plus another 64. So you're talking about 160, 162,000, give or take. Even if you competed in the events, won the SLBs, got a crap ton of shards, and possibly bought even packs that had Picard officer shards in them, you'd still be locked out and gated by the liquid Trellium D requirements, and then have to spend even more money buying those too. Lube didn't get an answer wrong. It was correct in the mirror universe. Oh, they played a different song in the mirror universe? Okay, it's good to know. Nuri, you're still classed as a whale, but you have been spending under 400 bucks since January. Is that total or is that per month? Total. Spent 400 bucks since. Okay, so I guess you spent enough lifetime that they still let you stick around because they're hoping to get you to open your wallet back up. Okay, but yeah, it's obviously another restriction because I don't even think if we go into the store, is there even a path for liquid Trellium D? You can buy a special of it. How much do you get? 15,000 for $100. So at that rate, you're spending, you know, Picard, whatever, 400 bucks to unlock him, right? Because that's the price point worth of materials to get him to the unlock. You level him up to 5, and then if you want to even tier him up, well, now you need 4,400 Trellium D, which is another same amount of shards, so that should be another $400 there, plus the Trellium D is another 33 bucks. And now you're talking about going to tier 3, that's 200 more shards, so it's a $400, $800 for the shards there, plus another $100 for the Trellium D in a pack to get that. So even just taking Picard to tier 3 is a $1,750 investment by Scopely's parameters. That's the value they put on him. This guy right here at tier 3 is worth 1,750 bucks worth of materials. I have no words for that. I have no words for that. Barkman says you're skipping them. They're too painful to source. Officers are forever. What a joke. They'll be obsolete in 18 months anyway. 18 months is optimistic. As we were talking about last week, you know, strike team officers came out and made all the other officers previous to them for PvP obsolete. And within a year, you had Carol Freeman who came out and made strike teams kind of obsolete. And then you got some tweaks to those guys with some of the other people, Shax and Jack Ransom and whatnot, to try and make those original strike team crews a little bit better. Still not getting quite the same results for the most part as a lot of people were with Carol Freeman. And now you've got the Mirror Universe guys who are coming out less than a year after Carol Freeman. So even getting 12 months out of officers at this point in time, especially for PvP specific officers, it just isn't happening anymore. And even PvE stuff changes pretty rapidly too, right? We got Strange New World Pike and his whole crew and Hemmer. And about a year later, then we got Voyager, and now we got all those officers. Don't really use a lot of the Strange New World officers anymore. Now we got a new set of Strange New World officers to sign, with Mbenga and whatnot to try to replace and upgrade the old Strange New World crew, really more so for the 60 plus crowd, who are finding that they need a little bit more help. So that's why we have the new Kirks and Mbenga for that 60 plus level range for the most part. It's where I find that I hear they're being mostly used. And that's less than a year after Voyager. So even getting 12 months at this point out of officers is kind of a stretch. You're lucky if you get 12 months out of them. And you're spending $1,000, $1,500 a piece just getting them to tier 2, tier 3. Come on, man. Come on. Nerd's got a little more Trillium D in your pack at 63. Well, obviously, yes, pack values will vary slightly based on ops level and other requirements. So, good point though. Ricky says they can kiss my free to play. Yeah, okay, there you go. With your refinery being at level 8, you get 2000 a day on a double Trillium D turn in, or every 3 days. Right. Mm-hmm. Right. You get 28. So you could get a few thousand a week. You could get five to 10,000 a week potentially if you keep up with the content and you're sourcing it. But again, you're a 60 plus. My refinery, I can't see it, of course, but I don't feel like I'm getting the same liquid Trillium out of my D refinery and A refineries. I don't spend it too frequently. I kind of just do these over here, kind of just the single chest pulls, and I've accumulated 2,800. So not bad, but it would obviously take me a while to save up enough to tier up some of those officers. Again, I mean, it's not unheard of. We had the same thing with Borg officers and things with the nano probes. Anybody try to level up, 5 of 11 or 6 of 11 to their final tier, and it's like, yeah, you need 1,000,000 nano probes. Like, okay, that takes a while for sure. It's just something we haven't seen in a very long time, which is why it feels like such a foreign concept. Because that really was the Borg officers were the last ones we really saw this with. And again, it's not a new currency like that. 4 years ago, it was a new currency, and people were wondering how am I going to tier these officers up, and it took a while. And now we're kind of stuck seeing the same thing over again, and it's like I thought, we haven't seen this in a while, so that's why it just feels so oppressive. So Nora uses Jim Kirk plus Ortegas and Data in a 6-star space. Okay, so you're, yep. More people are watching DJ now than the state of the game. Well, he's probably giving away some stuff. He's also coming on a little later, which might be more convenient for people. I know some people, obviously, depending on where you are, like, if you're West Coast, 4 o'clock, you might have still been at work, couldn't watch the state of the game. If you're mid part of the U.S., it was 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. It was like dinner time. For me, it was 7 o'clock when it was starting. I had just finished eating, so it was like, and it was when I normally stream. So I was like, all right, I can just bump things back a little bit. So, but yeah, I mean that's kind of where we got with all those new currencies and things. So people not following Samo wouldn't get the notification. Well, that's also true too. I mean, they tried to do a pretty good job of putting it out there in a number of places. Rev was promoting it. I talked about it. Dr. Iron Chef was plastering the Discord servers that he was on anywhere really you could think of to try and get the word out. I suggested to Hammy 6 weeks ago, hey, when you guys are going on content creator stream, why don't you guys put something out on like the official Discord, the one with like 50,000 people on it, and be like, hey, come catch this thing. And he was like, yeah, I've been thinking about doing that. I'm not sure if the content creators would appreciate it though. I was like, well, did you ask them? Because as a content creator, I can tell you I would love it if you were a guest on my show and you were promoting it to the 50 plus thousand people on Discord, like, hey, tune in tonight. Yes, please. I'll take, even if 10% of that is a conversion rate, I'll take several thousand more viewers. Thank you. Oh, the chat might get too crazy with that. Then, you know what? That's a good problem to have. I'll worry about that when it happens. But if we're going to talk about the state of the game, let's get as many people as we can possibly get in here watching and learning about the state of the game. If we're just talking to the same 300 people or 400 people that are on Twitch all the time anyway, it's a small sample size. It's like when you know um, when politicians and things, they do political polling and they take a sample size of likely voters or things like that. It's like, well, you've got registered voters and then you've got people who are actually likely to even show up at the polls and vote. Those are two different groups. So you're getting, obviously, the registered voters is a much larger thing. But some of these people only show up when there's a candidate that they like. So if you're likely to vote, well, you're a little more engaged in the content in the community, and it's a smaller percentage. So if you ask those people something, they're going to have a pretty strong opinion about it. If you ask the larger group, you're going to get some more diverse opinions and feedback. And that's what we always need. We need to get as many voices as we can, because when you say, oh, we filled out Rev's survey and he got, 47 people said we need to change this. It's like, well, there's 200,000 people who play this game, allegedly. So if we have 200,000 accounts and only 47 said we need to change this, well, that's not a really good sample size. Like, yeah, but only, 500 people filled out the survey. So that's 10% of the people who filled out the survey said we need to make a change. Like, that's a pretty big number. So, it all depends on how you look, again, at those analytics. And obviously getting more eyeballs and drawing more attention to the stuff seems to make sense, but just me just throwing out good ideas again, so no worries. Lube even posted tonight too. Yeah, and obviously your Discord server has thousands of people on it too, so that at least helped bring it to even more attention. But I mean, Hamster or Simpoli could have quick thrown up a little, hey guys, come join us right now live on Twitch in 5 minutes or 10 minutes with Mr. Tiger as we talk about some feedback regarding how the Mirror Universe went month number one. Like, you might have drawn a couple hundred more people in there. Maybe you get to 500 or 1,000 instead of 250 or 275. I don't know. He seemed like he thought it was a good idea, but I don't know why it got shot down. Or it hasn't happened yet. Maybe he forgot. Maybe somebody at Scopely told him no. Maybe the content creators were like, please don't do that. I don't know if my head could handle having that many people in my chat at one time. My head might explode. I don't know. When Stewie, when he's on with you guys doing like a UK thing, Tell him you want him to promote it on the main Discord. Nura didn't. You guys didn't even get a ping on the VIP about it. See, that would be an audience that would be very engaged. Those are the people who spend a lot of money. They're likely to show up. Some of them are already there, I'm sure, but I know I saw Jonathan Ingram in there. Yeah, I mean, you guys can. Like, you're allowed to make a once a day post on the official Discord server, but it's not like the announcement section, right? Like, you can come. Well, I can't show it, but yeah, like you can come over here and you can post something in the Galaxy whatever chat. You can make a quick post here. Hey everyone, we're live on whatever right now, but if people have this particular channel muted or they have announcements or whatever turned off in here, they're not going to see it. If you go, if Hammy posts it right here on official announcements, well, everybody's going to see this because nobody's got this channel really turned off. At least they shouldn't, because there's so this is getting the attention of, I don't know, a couple thousand people who are online right now. Even if you didn't do an at everyone because you don't want to wake everybody up in the middle of the night. Even if you did an at here, so the 500 plus people who are online right now get a little ping like, hey, come hang out on Twitch. Like, why is that not being done? Yeah, an official announcement, right? Yeah, like just put it out there and say, hey, this is what's happening. Let's do it. Everyone feeds official into their ally discords. That's another thing too. A lot of people have that, they follow that channel on their alliances. So that way when a new announcement gets posted, it filters through to your alliance discord. So even people who don't go on the main discord might still see it on their alliance discord server. Because they know people don't go to the main discord server a lot. That's why a lot of alliance leaderships do just funnel that content and pull it right over. That's a good point, Nura. So yeah, it's just another one of those head scratcher kind of things. So you'll ask Sambo to remind me so that I have to remind you so you can remind Lube. You know what? Before I forget, I'll just ping Hammy about it. We'll just do that right here. Just to follow up, tonight would have been a great time to make a post to make an official announcement on Discord that the state of the game was happening on Twitch, on Samo's channel, and players should tune in to watch. There, we'll just send it right to the horse's mouth. Preface that with good state of the game tonight or not? Nah. If he responds, I'll come back with, I mean, you guys did a good job. It would have been nice to have more people to have seen it. We'll circle back to that. Actually, you know what? Let me send a follow-up. You're right. I should just send a follow-up. You guys did a good job tonight, but only about 275 people were watching live, and I think that number could have been much higher with some more publicity. There we go. Yeah. Not quite, Parkman. Not quite. Not quite. They should always do an official announcement, pick a different streamer every time. They kind of do rotate it, right? Like DJ's hosted it, Rev's hosted it. Now Samo got to host one. Obviously, she's taken a big step up, so congrats to her for that. Appealing to a different audience, different demographic, which I'm sure they love there. Um, they would let Lube and Stewie do one, but nobody would understand what the hell they're saying. So, all right. But I think we're done with this. And was there anything else on the list? There is no long-term sourcing for that premium research mat because right now it's only going to come through the quantum events. G6 players are going to be getting a bonus refinery when a bonus refinery comes out at the end of the month. Not that the bonus refinery is really even all that great. I mean, maybe for them it would be because at least it's extra refines, and that's always a limiting factor for them is that they can only do so many refines of stuff. Um, but for players in G3, G4, G5 content, the bonus refinery rates are wrong. They're the base rates. They don't take into consideration any of the enhancements that you get when you get Ops 34 to the G3 refinery, or the Bajoran favors and stuff that boost the G4 and G5 refineries. Those aren't factored into the bonus refinery. So you're paying more for an extra refine that pays you out lower values than what you normally get. That has not been fixed. It's been raised many times. And now, G6 players, you've got one coming your way too. Too many U's in your streams. That's, yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure it's a big, obviously, it's a concern with, I mean, I can see it being a bit of a concern because of time zone issues. But obviously, a lot of the EU players are not awake right now, right? You've got a whole region of APAC players who are going to have to watch Samo stream tomorrow, or maybe catch a clip of it on YouTube or something. And same thing with some of the EU people, right? If she's starting 4 o'clock her time, it's 7 o'clock my time. It's midnight for the guys in the UK, and a couple hours past that if you're in mainland Europe, 1 to 2 hours more. Like those people aren't awake. A lot of them are in bed. And again, maybe they'll catch it up tomorrow. But if Lube was and Stewie were doing one, it would be maybe noon or 1 o'clock for me. Maybe I'll listen to it while I'm at work or something like that. Just have it on in the background. Um, but you're appealing to a whole nother audience, an audience that has been kind of shrinking. We talked about that over the weekend too. The number of APAC servers keeps getting smaller. The EU servers, there's still some, but there's been some consolidation over there. So maybe try reaching out to that percentage of your community and your population, and try to engage them a little more through things like hosting state of the games that are friendly to their time zones. But again, not a marketing guy, so what do I know? They don't want to unbalance the economy, so they don't update the bonus refinery. There you go. There you go. Yes, Stewie. I mean, mostly. I think I just do the minimum pulls, right? I just do the extra of whatever the smallest pull is. I'm like, I'll just take whatever little extra materials I can get, but I'm not spending, 1 million or whatever like that for a 3 chest or 4 chest pull for the values because the payouts just aren't worth it. Yeah. Get Dr. Iron Chef to host one for APAC. I mean, they're probably wide awake then, right? When he's streaming. There you go. See, there's people in different parts of the world. So, so I think that was it as far as what they talked about and how events went. And It seemed like it was a good conversation, but I didn't walk away from the state of the game feeling any better about the month or the arc than I did before it started. I didn't feel more optimistic, more encouraged, more engaged. I kind of just felt like, well, I guess we're just going to wait and see, which is what I felt 3 weeks ago when the arc launched. Was, wow, this is a really complex and convoluted mechanic. I guess I'll just wait and see where it goes from here, how it develops, and I'm nothing about tonight sort of changed that feeling. So good. Wow. Stewie says that Lube asked in a pre-arc meeting if they could put all the bonus refineries into a separate bucket so it was easier for him to ignore because they get in the way of his regular refineries. They do. They do jam this up quite a bit. So if you could just slap it over here and just have a new bucket right here that just says bonus refinery, and you click on that and open up a separate little tab, that would be wonderful.